nights. And it was probably the best game I've ever had in a green shirt. I think it was probably even a better performance than the hat-trick game. I didn't score, but done really, really well. And again, the scouts were there. So it was just bananas after that, because I was only under 15.
Yeah.
And it was a 16 match. So they couldn't believe that this lad was only, a year younger than everyone. So it kind of went a bit haywire. There was a lot of clubs involved. United came in, City, Arsenal. There was John O'Neill was taking all the calls, and he was, there was clubs ringing up saying they'd kit Granville out they kit the whole club if I just went over on trial and stuff and that, and but I had something in my head. I didn't want to go to London. I don't know what it was back then, but I was afraid of going to London. My parents were afraid of London, so we kind of ruled out the London clubs as such.
Yeah.
But so I ended up going to United for a week. They wanted to sign us, but Liverpool came in, and my dad said that because they were the best team at the time. My dad said, "Would you not just go?" I was like, "No." I hate him. And next thing he said, "Just go. I'd like to see how you get on over there." So I went there for a week, and I actually loved it over there. They were just so friendly. They were brilliant. But it was probably Forrest were the team that I was most likely to sign for. We went up and met them in Dublin. They were playing a friendly, and they'd brought up my parents and myself. I went and met them, and they were kind of put an offer on the table, wanted us to come over and see the place first. So they kind of fitted the bill, really, because you might have had a better chance there than Liverpool in hindsight. They were giving young players a chance.
So Nottingham Forest, they're in the Premier League at this stage. Are they kind of are they a mid-table team at this point?
Yeah, they're in the Premier League. And so they've brought us over for the weekend. Funny story, actually. So they brought us over, myself, my mum, my dad. John O'Neill was brought as well, because he's a big part of it when I was looking after me and that. And he would have been the port of call as well. But I remember getting there, and I didn't get a chance to see the digs that I would have been staying in. We arrived on the Friday evening, so on the Saturday, the first team were playing Sheffield Wednesday. So I was supposed to travel with the first team down to the match, see the game, go in the dressing room before the game, go back out, go up to my parents, and after the match, come back down to the dressing room and go home in the team bus.
Yeah.
So I thought, this is great, So I got dropped to the ground that morning. Stuart Pearce comes off the bus. They hand me a Forest tracksuit. So I put on the Forest tracksuit outside the bus. So he walks me onto the bus. And the top of the bus was old school way, like the directors and the managers were in the front, all the players were on the back, and there's curtains pulled. So Stuart Pearce brings me onto the bus. I'm shitting myself, I'm only 15, looking down here, I'm 15 years of age.
Yeah.
And next time I'm in the bus with the Forest first team, and I can remember being brought back, and Stuart Pearce just said, "Look, this is Paul from Limerick in Ireland.
Yeah.
He's travelling with us for the day." So it was Roy Keane then. Brian Laws was sitting beside him, and he kicks Brian Laws out of the seat, and he says, "Come on, sit in here, come in."
Jesus,
sit down beside me. And to be fair to him, I'll never forget it. He made so much of me that day. Chatted to me the whole way from Nottingham to Sheffield, and I had a great chat with him. It was brilliant. I was totally in awe of him. He's my favorite player at the time.
Yeah, I can imagine guys, guys in their 20s, guys in their 30s, guys in their 40s meeting some of their kind of footballing heroes. So for 15-year-old kids coming over from Limerick to be actually sat on the team bus speaking with these guys must have been incredible.
Oh, it was just amazing. He had just broken the scene, so he was a couple of years ahead of me, and you're kind of dreaming in yourself. You're thinking, just can I be like him? And it was great. He had a great chat with me, and I think I didn't do my junior cert or inter cert as such. He'd failed. I'd asked him, did he fail his? He said, yeah. And I was like, I felt great. The two of us were going to be players anyway. And at least I thought it was anyway. But it was great. So then got to the ground. During their team talk, I went back out, up to watch the match with my mum and dad. They got beat the same day, and I was brought down to the dressing room. So after the match, I walks in. I'll never forget as long as I live. the Forest team are just sitting around. Brian Clough is sitting down on the ground. He's got his tracksuit pants around his ankles, but he's got a pair of shorts on. So he sits on the deck. No one's speaking. So I'm like, what am I even doing here? So he just at the time they would have brought a young lad with him to do all their, donkey work, like the boots and the kit and whatever. He was like my own age, a little bit older than myself. He's an apprentice. So he says, Clough says, it was roasting hot day now. So Clough says, hey, now, pour some water over my head. So I was looking, this is mental. So I went out to the shower room, started filling the cup, handed it to him. And I said, look, you do this. I'm not going back in there. So the young lad went out and I'd fill in the cups and he was going in, pouring the water over Clough's head. So after the third cup, the young fella comes in and says to me, he wants you to do it. I went, oh, Jesus Christ. What? So I walks out with the cup and no one's even looking. It's like as if it was the norm or something. The players are sitting there. No one is speaking. I'm standing over Brian Clough with a cup in my hand and I'm kind of half pouring the water, shaking. He go on, son. So I just slap it over his head. Yeah. Good. I want 2 more from you and 2 more from you. So we had just basically poured water all over him. He's sitting there in a pool of water and sweat. No one's speaking. So at that point, the assistant manager has kind of seen me with my eyes open going, what is going on here? Yeah. So he's ushered me out of the dressing room and, he's put me back on the bus early, but it's just insane, surreal, when you look back at it,
It's, we said, we said at the start of the podcast, we'd be telling people what it's really like inside some of these dressing rooms. And, as you said, picturing the scene of, this 15-year-old from Ireland and this other kind of young fella pouring water over one of the greatest managers in English history. After a league game is
just got beat. I'm thought they'd be all ranting and raving and arguing with each other. There's no one speaking.
Yeah,
it's just we're walking in and out, pouring water over their gaffer's head, and they're all afraid to move. No one would even attempt to take off a sock or a pair of shorts at this stage. They're sitting there.
Yeah,
it was just nuts.
I think when people, I think we forget that human beings, we're not that different, and people at all levels of the game are, they have their own little rituals, their own things, and they act in different ways.
We've heard some stories about him, but I think it was just the fear. They had respect for him, obviously, but I think it was the fear as well. The fear he's liable to do anything. Because we were heading back on the bus. And the way the motorway, the traffic is really, bumper to bumper. So there was a Sheffield fan, and he's bumper to bumper coming one way, and we're traveling the other way, bumper to bumper. And your man is out the window, and he's giving it the 2 fingers and okay and all this. Yeah. He's looking at our bus. So what's he do? He goes straight up the back of the car in front of him.
Oh, Jesus!
The bus erupts. So it's the first time there's been any noise since I'm going back in the bus. They've got beat. Sitting with Roy Keane again, and he's been overly nice. They've got beat and he's chatting. And next thing, this fella does this. So the bus start laughing. Yeah. And the assistant manager at the time was Lee McCain, I think it was, something comes running back. Here, keep your fucking voice down, he said, the gaffer's up there. If he hears you laughing, he'll throw you off the fucking bus. But he would have done he'll make you walk home. And he would have done it. Yeah. So everyone was just gone quiet again, and it was insane, to be fair.
Yeah, it's I think that's the you definitely, from all the stories we hear from these different kind of legendary managers, having that bit of an X factor definitely seems to be common between them all. Just that little bit of you're not quite sure what they're going to do, just keeps everyone on their toes, and I think keeps everyone sharp to a certain extent. So you were.
I think you need to have that. Yeah, I think even if you go to even junior level at the minute, I think the players need to have that little, they have to have that little bit of fear that you're liable to do anything. You're liable to leave someone out. You're liable to, tell someone to piss off. It does help. It does help.
I even think back. I think back, Joe. Even Joe, some of my teachers in school, I found the best teachers that kind of get the best out of you are sometimes the ones that are a bit mad. you can manage, managing certain bosses or teachers or football coaches or whatever. If you kind of know what they're about, it might take you a while, but you can kind of suss them out and know what they're going to do. But it's the guys that you're not sure what they're going to do are the ones that keep you, keep you
On your
honest.
toes,
yeah. So was Nottingham Forest, was that, did you consider signing for them? How close were you to actually going there?
I was actually that night I was going to sign, and they had said, to be fair